Rand. That's what it'll take to clean up the Vaal River. Water and Sanitation Minister Lindiwe Sisulu visited the area yesterday. To discuss this, we're joined by the department's spokesperson, Sputnik Ratau. Very good to have you with us this morning. 3 years, over R1 billion. Tell us how it's going to work.
Well, Jane, what has happened is that Ervat, the Ekurhuleni water company, has come on site and started working. Let's say they came on site after they were appointed around September, October last year. And obviously they are taking over from where the SANDF has left off. And because remember that the SANDF was there until the end of November. And now they are wrapping up their activities and handing over to Ervat. And therefore what is going to happen is that Ervat, as the specialist wastewater treatment company that we have in the country, is then going to look at unblocking the pipelines, looking at the pump stations and bringing them back online, and so on. The major part of what they will have to do is look at what's happening underground. Because as the MD of Ervat was saying yesterday, you know, the issue of bringing the pump station, replacing the valves and so on, that's the easier part because everything is above ground. But what is actually going to take up a lot of time and effort is going to be what is happening underground, because you don't see that with the naked eye, and there are so many other technical ways that you have to employ in order to be able to get there.
I know the department wants to call it a disaster area. I think everybody has known in this country, particularly people living there, that it is a disaster area. This is in order to expedite money and attention onto it. Is that going to help?
This is very helpful, because if you remember that the President has spoken about it, the Minister of Finance actually came on very strongly on the matter. And what Minister said as well yesterday in the interaction with the stakeholders was that, by the way, you know, the issue of the Vaal River and the Vaal Dam and the integrated Vaal River system is not a Sedibeng district municipality issue or an Emfuleni local municipality issue. It is actually about the economy of the country. And obviously, when we talk about the economy of the country, we talk about the economy of the region and ultimately the continent. And therefore, it is much bigger than what we are looking at just as about Emfuleni or the Sedibeng district municipality.
How much transparency will there be with the Ekurhuleni Water Care Company? Because the reason we're in the situation we are now is because of ineptitude and corruption. So are we able to see where the money goes, how it's been spent?
Yes, fortunately, you know that there are processes that have been set up that includes national government, province, local government, but as well as stakeholders. And by stakeholders, you even talk to the level of the community, where there are certain processes that need to be followed in order to be able to make sure that the local community, for instance, is empowered. The business chamber, by the way, both small and big business in the area, have come to the party and said, we would want to be part of the solution. And therefore, we are here to say, if there are any efforts that you would need assistance with, we are here to take up those challenges. And therefore that is where you see those things. But basically, if I'm to come back to your question directly, it is such that all the rands and cents that the taxpayer is putting into the project will be able to be openly looked at and be able to assess, including, by the way, how appointments are made of our service providers through Ervat and so on and so on.
Okay, I'm glad you mentioned that. I mean, will we find out about the taxpayers' money going to the two advisors, Menzi Similani and Mo Sheikh? I mean, according to the DA, they're going to be earning in excess of 2.2 million a year to advise the minister. I mean, neither of them have any experience in this department. How is that money justified?
Jane, I think the minister's spokesperson issued a statement and has been responding to those issues, and that is where I would like to not bring it into the issue of the...
No, but it's an important issue, because this water issue is an important one, and these are two people who are tasked with making it a success. So I want to know where that money's coming from, how it can be justified.
I'm not taking it aside as if it's a non-issue. It is an issue, and it's got to be followed out. But I think the political parties have got all the rights to be able to follow it up in order to inform the nation. And therefore, that is part of what ministry would be operating on, and that is an operational matter for the ministry. But in terms of how we follow up with the issues of the Vaal River intervention project is something that we are saying that we as government have seen that in the past, these things of not being very open and transparent about our operations is what is leading not necessarily to even corruption sometimes, but just mistrust to say, I don't know what is happening here. How do I get to be able to know? And therefore, we are saying the issues of the Vaal River intervention project, it's a public project. It's got to be known what is happening there, and the processes that we have set in place are going to be able to take that across. And that is why Minister has said that next week, Monday, she is back in the area in order to take further some of the concerns of the community as well as the business people that are there, and how we can actually put together an agreement that will be binding on both government, communities, and so on, because part of the problem has been that we've got standing time that has come into the project because of unhappiness within the community that has led to stoppages of the work on the project, which has not been helpful.
I mean, Sputnik, good to hear that, but I mean, all this leads to mistrust. People need answers from politicians, and they need honesty and clarity and transparency. And when you hear this about how much is being paid to ministers who are tasked with cleaning this up for us, I mean, it undermines any sort of confidence that we should be having. And I know you say you can't answer it. I mean, well, you're welcome to try if you can.
I think one of the things that we have to look at is that we have come this far. And part of what the department is looking at is that in its rejuvenation of itself, for the lack of a better word, I think there is a better English word somewhere. We're looking at how we should be able to make sure that the processes that we are working with from now on, and that is why I think Minister Sisulu has also brought in the DG of Human Settlements to come and act as DG in the meantime at Water and Sanitation, because he is keen on making sure that the performance of the department is actually according to the plan.
Okay, Sputnik, thank you very much for coming in to talk to us. Thank you.